What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're all doing well today. Got a disassembly and a slight mod video coming up for you on the CJRB Ekko. Let's get into it. Before I dive into that, just really quick, I do recommend for disassembly WeHotBits, and I have those linked in the description down below, way towards the bottom of all the links for the tools, recommended tools, mats, and everything like that. I am in a little bit of a hurry here, trying to get a couple of videos knocked out, so I just grabbed the NAF's burrito roll. Love this roll. It may be in stock by the time you see this video, but I did want to recommend that. I have just an oil pen that I picked up to put my favorite oil in. This does have the Hops gun oil in there, and it's getting to the point where I'm probably going to need to refill that soon. And I have stubby drivers recommended down below, CRKT driver down below. If you're interested in these, they are the Combat Bead Griffin tool. This one here is the Ultim. This one's a more recent acquisition. This one here is their micarta variant, which I wasn't sure how it was going to hold up, but I'm loving it. And it's taking a patina, which is even great. The reason I have two is so I don't have to switch as much between the 6 and the 8. And this is going to be an 8 and 6 hardware wise. And if it's anything like the other one that I took apart, the button lock one for the disassembly video, it's going to be this side coming out, and then I'll have to push the pivot out and get these through. I do like to disassemble from the liner lock side or the lock bar side because it is a little bit easier for me to control everything as far as how it comes apart. I'm going to go ahead and start the disassembly. While I'm doing this, I am just going to mention the reason that there is going to be a slight mod to this is because the lock bar access is a little tight for me, and there's a little wiggle room there on the micarta. I'm going to try to take it down without exposing the scale, in hopes that I can go ahead and get that lock bar access a little bit better for me. I really love this knife. The button lock version is my favorite of the two, but man, it's not like it's by a landslide. This is really good. I like this variant a lot. I do recommend removing the pocket clip so that you can get underneath the actual scale. If you want to do any type of maintenance, you want to clean and put your own lube on there. That's the reason that I do the disassembly this way. But I really, really like this model. It's really nice. The contouring on it does make a difference. It does feel really good. I'll show that when I come back. I was getting ready to say I kind of forgot to show everyone how that looks when you take it apart. So the pivot collar jumped out. This looks like a brass pivot collar. It's very nice. I like it a lot. Let's go ahead and disengage the lock. And then whatever type of tool you have that's pretty skinny that goes through here, you can use the bit driver to do that as well. But just go ahead and push out the pivot a little bit so that you can access it or get to it. And then once you get to it, sorry, I know my big hands block everything. Once you get to it, you should be able just to pull the pivot. Maybe not. Where's my 6? This is my 6, right? Let me see if I can, yeah, push a little bit further. Okay, it came out a little faster than I intended, so you may have missed that. You can go ahead and set your blade aside. You can see here, these are nested down in the blade, and they are ceramic on nylon, which is going to make this very smooth, and it definitely feels smooth. And the factory oil is a little bit more tacky than I like. Go ahead and set your blade aside. Your pivot is D-shaped all the way through, so you should be able to flip this to the front going forward so that you don't have to deal with that. If you like to disassemble it the way that I do from the lock bar side, if you do not, just make a note that it is the D-shaping the rear. Did I just put that back exactly the same way? I think I did. Sorry about that. I want the captive side facing, or on the show side, rather. Ooh, why is it not going in? Do I have this in the wrong position? Sorry, I just totally brought it off camera. I'll have to edit that. Oh, there is. I see what's happening. Let me go ahead and remove the scale. Please tell me it didn't go far. It was just a lanyard anyway, but that's probably why you should keep it laying down. But I did want to, because I want to get to the lock bar, I wanted to leave this in So after having put all that back in, I'm going to have to take it out anyway, because I do want all of this out of here. So what I'm going to do is remove everything and completely disassemble this. Now that everything's apart, I'm going to pause, be right back, and I will show you how I have knocked this down as much as you can safely without exposing the liner, so that you can increase the lock bar access if you so choose to. Be right back. All right, we are back. Unfortunately for me, I wasn't able to find that screw, but luckily I have extra really cheap Walmart stuff sitting over there, and that fits. So I'm hoping reassembly will be okay. Now this is the one that I took down. The lock bar, as you can see, goes into that one. I used a really fine grit and just kind of worked slowly. I guess it's just caked up there, but I just used a Dremel tool. I wanted to at least show that since I didn't get the process on video, but I thought it would be good to share that with you all. And we can go ahead and begin with the cleaning and lubing. And I do like Hops gun oil. I do recommend it regularly. Very nice gun oil. Oh, my liner stuck on the magnet. I guess this is just a lesson for myself for, you know, quick, easy maintenance. I want to use the NAF's burrito roll in an area where it's not quite so open, not quite so big. I figure since I'm here, I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit of attention to that lock bar and see if I can get it over some more to see if it does. Nothing was wrong with the detent, but see if it does make a difference at all. Clean everything very thoroughly that you're going to be reassembling. Going to go ahead and clean the pivot out as well. Since I'm going to be putting fresh oil on, I'm going to go ahead and clean the bearings up as well. And the reason I like doing all this is because I just like my own oil on here. I like to make sure there's nothing down in the pivot. Make sure that my blade's clean, my liners are clean. You know, good practice. It's always good practice. Now, it does look a little bit dark down in that hole where the detent ball goes. So I am going to go ahead and clean that out as well. I got these linked, I believe, down below as well. Just picked them up off of Amazon. Always struggle getting in here, so I'm just going to use my knife blade that's loose to open it up a little bit more so I can get my finger in here and grab one of these out. These are great for getting into the detent ball hole. It is just dry, so I'm assuming I'll be able to get that cleaned out with just the tip here, just like so. Yeah, a little grimy, not awful. Yeah, looks good. Everything else on the blade looks pretty clean as well. I really like those a lot. So this is the side that I was having issues with. So I just took it down evenly across there. You can see that the grind is a little bit different. And then I added a little bit of mineral oil to the whole scale to make it look good. So I'm hoping that little bit of difference there, you see how it's thicker here and it's a little thinner there. I didn't want to keep going because I was scared I would get too close to the liner, but any little bit is going to help me at this point. All right, so what we're going to go ahead and do is reinstall the lock bar. Then I'm going to insert my pivot. Actually, before I do that, let's go ahead and reinstall these barrels because they're going to be a pain in the booty. So I'm going to use the one good screw that I have left to install, or the one good factory screw, I should say, that I have left here from this side, and then I'll put my parts bin screw in there. I'm hoping what'll happen is that it'll turn up later, and that way I can just install it here and have all the factory hardware on there. So that one should be good to go. Next barrel, and the bolt that I had here, sort of spare part-ish, is right here. Let's go ahead and install this one. Whoop, 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 whoop. Keep sliding around on me. Come on now, there we go. We'll install this one here. Hopefully it's not too long. that when I install the other screw, I should be okay. If I run into that issue, I will cross that bridge when I get to it, but not a, not hugely noticeable that it's different. So with those installed, I'm going to go ahead and throw this lanyard, pin, barrel, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to throw that down as well. Go ahead and install my pivot with it facing to the back so that it hopefully goes together well. And since I have it here, oh, I didn't take none of this off. Dang, shame, shame, shame. Let me take my top off and my cap off. I'm setting everything to the top where I can find it later. And then what we'll do is go ahead and lube the pivot up a little bit. And I think I moved it a little, so we're gonna reposition off camera so that the D is facing the back. We'll go ahead now, grab one of our barrels, Lord have mercy, bearings, and install that. We'll install the blade. We are going to find our stop pin because I forgot to put that in first. Install the stop pin. It's super tight, so I didn't throw any lube in there. I do that sometimes just to keep it from making any rattling noise when it shakes. That's a lot, so I'm just going to dab some of that off and put another. Lord have mercy, it's coming out so quickly. Nope. Nope, too much. Come on now. This applicator is getting on my nerves. I'm just going to take it off and start over. I'm going to dry, dab, there we go. Got to be fast, like grease lightning. Sometimes what happens, I like this applicator, but it is kind of cheap. So sometimes what happens is it just comes out more quickly than I'm ready for. I think air gets trapped in it. So I try my best to tap it to get whatever's in there to fall out, but I wasn't doing that just now. These bearings are super smooth. And unfortunately for me, that causes it to kind of move around. All right, so now we're ready to install the liner. I think we're good. Yeah, everything looks pretty lined up, falling into place nicely. There we go. Go ahead and secure it with the factory bolt that goes in this one, I'm pretty sure. Let me grab my driver. The nice thing about the magnetic drivers too, man, does it help when they are steel screws. It keeps everything nice and in place. You know what I didn't do? I forgot to put the pivot collar in there. So let's go ahead before we reassemble too much more. Get that out of there. I'll hold this in place. Let's flip it over. See if it'll come out easily. And if not, we'll just have to start over. Okay, now with it facing rearward, I'm going to try and, yes. Yes. Did it go in? I think it went in. I can't tell. Did it go in? No, it did not. And I'm not sure which way I am facing. All right, well, it's part of the way in, so instead of fighting it, and that was the pocket clip screw anyway. I can tell because it's flat. We're just gonna That's why it wasn't all the way in. Be really careful with that blade's edge. I just lightly felt it just now, and it is razor sharp. Here we go. Okay. All right. What a battle. Sometimes it's nice to have pivot collars, don't get me wrong, but they can be a pain in the ass if you forget, like I just did, to install and reinstall them. And then you have crap like this where these loose lanyard tube things that nobody even gives a crap about, because who puts lanyards on their knives anyway? It's like less than the amount of lefties that are out there that does that. But anyway, my point being is if you forget something like a pivot collar, you end up having to come back and redo everything all over again. Whew. The struggle is real, my friends. It is real. All right, now let me grab the correct bolt to secure the scale on. And the pivot collar in place so that I can install the pivot. Okay. We should be good now. I'm going to check my centering and everything before I put the pocket clip on. I'm hoping that the bolts do not collide. So I am dead center. Detent feels good. I don't think I lost anything on the action either. Oh yeah, the access to the lock bar is a little bit better. I think I went too far with the lock bar. I'm going to take it out and just do an adjustment. I feel like the lock bar, I went too far.